All right, we are ready to move on to our second mini composition using Op Art. I do want to point out that I have a nice sharp pencil for this. So you're going to find that with a lot of these, you're going to need to draw diagonal lines or lines where you need a very precise mark. So Op Art definitely takes precision and neatness in order to be successful. So I do recommend that you get a nice sharp pencil. And then I'm going to show you something else. In the first video, I mentioned that you might want to have a piece of scrap paper around. Here's where this is going to come in handy. So not everybody has a ruler at home, so we aren't all able to do measurement and figure out exactly where a halfway point is. So I have a little hack or trick to show you. So what I did is I took a scrap piece of construction paper. It doesn't have to be construction paper, any scrap paper will do. And I took my pattern that I used to trace all of my squares, and I am once again tracing around it with my pencil. You're gonna see how this little trick is gonna come in handy for a number of these pieces. So please follow along with this. Okay, now I've got the square here, and I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna very neatly and very carefully cut that out. I wanna be very precise with my cuts. Put the scrap paper off to the side. I'm going to keep this handy. This should be the exact same size as the square we have here. Okay, so what you're going to do now is you're going to take this piece of scrap paper and you're very neatly going to fold it in half, just one direction. Give it a nice crease. When you open it up, you can fold it the other way. You should see a nice line going directly down the middle. I'm also going to just mark this with my pencil so that you can see it a little bit better on the screen. You should be able to see your own fold in person. Okay, so now I have a piece of paper showing me exactly where the halfway point is on this. So we're gonna get our next piece set up. And again, you're welcome to use a ruler if you have one. If you don't, you can use a straight edge. And what you're going to do is you are going to start by drawing a diagonal line from corner to corner. You're going to notice that a lot of these that we are going to do are going to start with this X. If you're using the edge here of your paper like I am for your square, you may want to go ahead and draw that edge in if you didn't trace around it originally. And then you are going to cross to the other side, corner to corner. So you're lining that up, being very precise. And you can just do these marks very lightly. Some of them are going to get erased. In fact, these are going to get erased at some point. Don't do it yet. All right, the next thing I want to do for this is I want to find halfway and draw a vertical line. And I do want you to be precise because we have the tools to do that, even if you don't have a ruler. So I'm going to use this to find my halfway point. So I'm taking and marking a point right above my crease line. And then I'm going to scoot this up a little bit down here, and I'm going to mark just below the crease, okay? So just below the fold. That gives me 2 points, which should be halfway. And then I'm going to connect those two with my straight edge or ruler, whichever I'm using. Again, draw nice and light so that you can erase easily. All right, so we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to take our paper and we're going to turn it horizontally. So I'm going to line this up here, and I'm going to mark halfway, and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And then again, I'm going to connect those. Okay, now we have it set up and we're ready for our next step. So as we work with this, we're gonna wanna try and keep our spacing consistent, meaning the same size throughout. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I am going to be marking a line that goes just between these two. Okay, so I'm not gonna go any further than that. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I am going to line my straight edge or ruler up with this point here, and I'm going to draw a line vertically to mark out another small triangle. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. So essentially what I'm doing is I am going to be creating a square that is going around those lines. Okay, now I'm going to line up this point and this point. And connect those. Okay, we're going to repeat this process until we have the entire box outlined this way. So you can go ahead and watch me through the next maybe 2 or 3, and then I'm going to speed the video a little bit for you, and of course you can always slow it down if you need to. So I'm going to try and keep my spacing somewhat consistent here. And I'm just going to go around again. Trying to keep that parallel to the line above it, meaning running in the same direction. Okay, I'm going to do that again. So I'm just adjusting this line because I didn't love what happened here. This seemed to get a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to adjust this slightly. Okay, now we're going to start coloring. Before we do, we are going to take an eraser and we are going to pull out a few of these little lines. So I want you to watch carefully. Essentially what I'm going to be doing is just taking out this diagonal line here. The diagonal line helped us to set up our squares and form those in a very systematic manner. But we don't actually need them at this point. So we're going to take them out because they could be a little bit confusing to you if we leave them in. Try not to erase your corners too much, so it doesn't have to get erased perfectly. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to switch to our black marker or colored pencil if you don't have a black marker. And we're going to start by very carefully outlining the first piece. Now, again, if I was doing this for a final composition, a bigger scale, one that would be considered a final piece of art, I would definitely be using a ruler or a straight edge when I outlined. So I would be going in and using that again to outline each piece just to make it more precise and more meticulous, because that does make a difference in op art. But for now, I'm going to freehand this and just do the best I can freehand. Okay, so essentially we're going to be working, if you think about it, as a square or a frame. So this one's going to be white, and then this one is going to get colored in black. And I do like to switch between my two markers. I usually use the thicker one to fill in as much area as I can, and then I usually switch back to the small one to put in any small details and for my outlining. For me, I just feel like that works better. It's your choice on what you want to do. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the next spot, and we're going to be outlining this one. This box is white right here, so we want to put a black frame using those guidelines that we created around that, and we're going to color that piece in. And anywhere I'm worried that I might go out of the lines with my big black marker, I'm switching back to my ultra fine point Sharpie. Okay, so we have white, black frame, black, white frame, white, black frame. Okay, so we're alternating our colors just like we did in the first one. So here I have a white frame, right? So we went black, white. This is going to be black. So I'm going to outline that. Now, you can do it where you work around the square, or you can do it one section at a time. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start working one section at a time to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to work on filling this one in, and then we'll fill in the next section now that we've kind of got it planned out. Okay, so black, so our next one's white, so that means this one's black. And you could do what we did in the first one if you wanted, where you go white, black, white, black, white. Okay, and then you know which ones are going to be outlined and colored in. If you want to use a straight edge, your hand's feeling a little bit shaky, or you're having a hard time outlining, you can go ahead and do that. It's going to give you a really nice result, but you still need to work slowly and make sure that you're not crossing into a section that's not supposed to be colored. I'm going to color those in. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to this section, and we'll do each section one by one. So I'm going to speed this up. Hopefully, if you need help, you can come to class and ask. Hopefully I've explained enough of it and you've worked along with me for enough of it to see how to finish up this section over here. Now, when we go to do these sections, it's the same idea. We're going every other section, white, black, but I will slow down once I get to the new section. Okay, so now we're ready to do the next section. It's the same thing. We're just going to be going black, white, white. But you'll notice that what's going to happen with this is that anytime you have a black piece, there's going to be a white piece over here touching it. So let's see what this looks like. So black, white, this one's going to be black. So white, black, white. This one's going to be black. White, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. And then we'll be repeating the same exact process down here. I'm going to let you go ahead and try that one on your own. I'll show you what this looks like when it's finished, but I am definitely going to speed this up. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is go in with my eraser and really pull out those diagonal lines I had in there before. And I am not going to outline this edge, okay? That will ruin the effect, so please don't do that. I'm just going to go ahead and pull out all of those eraser lines. And we have our second op art design done. So you're seeing that as we go, we're seeing some little, an adjustment in movement. For me, this one looks more like it's moving than this one. And it's also funny how it looks like these sections are bigger than these ones, when in reality they are the exact same size, but because of the way we're using the color, it really changes that, and it makes it look like this section is smaller. All right, so hopefully you're finding some success. We're gonna move on to our third example here in just a couple of minutes.